Okay, so I open the microphone. Okay. Um, Hello, Diana, and um, I am appreciate your
Hi,
time.
Sonia.
Yeah, I am appreciate your time to attend my shadowing of professor projects. So before the interview begins, would you like to introduce something about yourself?
Sure. My name is Diana Coetzee. I am a professor at On Language at Brunel. So I teach ESL classes to Brunel students, and also a professor of the College of Law at Georgia State University. So I teach international law students, and I've been working in this field for almost 10 years.
That's so impressive. I can feel your enthusiasm of your teaching life. Well, I want to say that your course for me is unforgettable. I still remember that last semester how you guide me to develop my speaking and listening English skills. You helped me a lot. I think you are really good at teaching, so I'm curious about what motivated you to be a teacher, why you choose to be a member of On Language. Do you think the majors of college and graduates will become the most important factors which influence a student's selection of the job?
Okay, those are great questions. The first one, I chose to become a teacher first because I wanted to travel overseas. And then when I started teaching, I found that I loved the students, I loved the work. I was really interested in languages and teaching languages and helping people to develop their skills. So I continued with it in the US even because it helped me to bring the world to me after I stopped traveling. So people came to me from other countries, which was wonderful. And then on language, I chose on language because for quite a few reasons. Some of them are practical and some of them are more philosophical, but the company is run by two people who are true leaders and in the field. They're um, very proactive in their studies. They're also very kind and flexible people. It's a good company to work for. It's local for me, and I have um, I've really come to respect it and love it. And I also enjoy that it's somewhat smaller than your average company, so it's very personal. And then I do feel that a student's undergraduate degree and postgraduate degree, so master's, could be one of the most influential factors in their life, in their career choices. Especially after the graduate degree, those tend to be so specialized that people do need them to follow into whatever field or career they're going into.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned that before you teach before your teaching, you go travel around the world, and after you choose this career, um, your friends around the world comes to you. So, what impressed you most in your teaching life?
Mm. I think things that impress me the most are meeting students who are highly motivated and learning about, what makes them motivated. A lot of times it's culture and family and passion for some learning, and I really appreciate students from other countries. They have a different style and a different they have more responsibility for their family than we do in the US, and I really appreciate that about my students. And I also appreciate that they're serious students, so they work hard. They are learning in another language and taking high level classes, and I'm just always impressed with them for that because it's not an easy thing to accomplish what they have to accomplish.
Okay, so you say lots of students, they got their own change when they made a different language and its own culture. So what do you think you gain from your own language teaching life? Compared with you who just started working, is there any change in you now? What is the biggest change?
Hmm. I'd say the biggest change for me from when I first became a teacher to now, after I've been teaching for 10 years and I've been with On Language for 3 years and Georgia State for 4 years. I'd say the biggest changes are my skills in instruction. My methods have gotten better. I'm always reading a lot of research and learning and trying new techniques. And that's something that we push each other to do it On Language. We try to make everything based on research so we know that it works. But we're also not afraid to try something new and see how it goes. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it works wonderfully, and we do it again. So I think just my skill set has become stronger and my own leadership abilities. So working with presidents, directors, academic coaches, working with a lot of people who are in leadership positions at universities has made me a better leader as well.
After you experience so many things, what is the biggest difference between teaching English to non-native English speaker students and native English speaker students?
So there's a lot of differences, but the biggest difference to me is a native English speaker can naturally understand and identify a lot of things that are about language that are idioms or phrases or that don't have like a rule-based meaning. So, there are things in the language that don't follow a grammar rule. They just have a different meaning. And it's usually because they were frequent. And so I think that's really interesting when you teach non-native English speakers. You have to be very explicit and particular about teaching these phrases, these words, these idioms, sometimes a whole sentence. Like a teacher might ask you to come up with an answer. So the words come up with separately don't mean the same thing as they do when you put them together. So that verb come usually means by itself, come here. But come up with means to make or create an answer or find. So it's a really interesting example of that where a native English speaker would know that naturally. A non-native English speaker needs to be told that and learn and understand and practice using that, or start noticing things like those kinds of phrases in their daily interactions with other English speakers.
Okay, I think Ted Chiang, who is my favorite science fiction writer, he has said the language will shapes our thinking model. So language has a great influence on our thinking model. So that's why the non-native English speakers, they need to learn. They need to spend extra time to learn about grammar because they lack of another language structure. So, do you meet any challenging time? I mean, what challenge did you encounter when teaching non-native English speaker students?
That's a great question. Sometimes I've had some challenges with students misunderstanding, let's see, instructions, especially when they're in the university classes and in my class at the same time. Sometimes they'll ask me, oh, here's what my professor wants me to do, and show me a sheet, and they don't understand the instructions. And I find that an interesting challenge because it's not always because the student has an issue with understanding or comprehension. Sometimes it's that the teacher didn't write the instructions very clearly. So I think that's a really interesting challenge at university level where I get to help students not only in my classroom, but also with their other classes with things like that. That happens a lot, where students ask me about how to do an assignment because it's not clear or they don't understand it. But that's one of the challenges.
So have you finally solved these problems?
I have found ways, absolutely. And I gave a presentation to Burnell faculty 2 days ago about this issue too, and I actually worked to teach them to make their instructions and assignment sheets clearer so that students don't have this problem. So I think it's kind of like you're sharing the burden. So the teacher needs to help the students understand better, and the students need to work on their comprehension too. So it's really two ways, right? It's two people that have to work together to make this problem become solved.
Yes, all of things you mentioned about how value of references. I believe there are lots of students want to learn this area more. Would you like to give us any suggestions, such as what qualities do you think are needed to be a teacher who teaches non-native English speaker students?
Sure. There's a few qualities that I think are important. One would be being adaptable, so being able to change when needed to meet the students, so to do what they need. And even if that means changing your style or your plans, that's really important. Another thing is to always keep reading and researching the field. So you want to stay current. So know what's coming, what people are talking about in the field, what the specialists are studying, and be able to use that information in your classes. So I don't think any teacher, especially a teacher of non-native English students, should ever become stagnant is the word, which is like they're not willing to improve. So you want to, as a teacher, always be willing to improve yourself, your styles, your knowledge, all of those things.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. Never too old to learn, I think. So at last, it's the last step. About this interview, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I want to say that I think teaching English is one of the best careers that you could possibly have because you get a lot of rewards. Everything you give, you get back. And so just stay positive. Sometimes it's hard, but if you really love it, you love your students, you'll always feel good about it. And it gets you through the times that are difficult when you're tired and you've been working a lot. So yeah, stay positive. It will be wonderful.
Okay, thank you and your answers again. You really inspire me more about the teaching English to non-native English speaker students. So enjoy your breakfast time. Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, bye, Sonia. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you.